Guys, good morning. I hope all is well with you. Um, I am going over section 8.6 where we stopped, and this concept is to factor trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, which means you're going to have a number for a. So when we went over it, we spoke about finding two numbers whose product is a times c and whose sum is going to be b. And once we figure out what the two numbers are, we rewrite bx and we're going to split it into two parts. And step three is to group the first two terms and last two terms. And then we are going to factor common terms. So all these steps might seem like, oh my God, it's too much. But when you see an example, it'll be more clear. All right. So what are we doing? We are factoring trinomials where there's a number for a, there's a coefficient, and then we are going to rewrite, group, and factor. And how does that happen? So turn to your first example. So we did that part in class, but I'm just reviewing it for you. So here you're given 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. So let's do. So this is your A, this is your B, and this is your C. We need to find two numbers whose product is going to be A times C, which is 5 times 2, which is 10, and whose sum is going to be 11. Now, you clear? So 5 and 2, we need to find two numbers whose product is 10 and sum is 11. And are there numbers like that? So yes, indeed, 10 and 1. So the numbers are 10 and 1, 10 and 1. So therefore, let's rewrite this equation, this function, expression, sorry. It's 5x squared plus the 11x is now going to be written as 10x plus 1x plus 2. So normally we don't put the 1 here, but I'm just showing you what happens if you can still opt not writing it, or you can still write it. So you understand we are going to, so step 1, what did we do? We split the 11 into the two numbers that you found, which is 10 and 1. All right, now the next step is to group the first two terms and the last two terms. We are going to factor out. So 5x squared plus 10x. The greatest common factor would be 5x. So when I factor out a 5x from here, what would we get? We will get x plus. When you factor out a 5x from here, you'll end up getting 2. All right, so we are factoring just to make sure you're right. You can multiply it and see if you get this back. All right, now let's move on to the next two terms. So keep the plus right because both are plus. Now 1x and 2, the common factor is just 1. So do write the 1 here, and then you'll be left with x plus 2. Make sense? So we factored. What did we do in this step? We group and factor. That's what we did here. So group and factor. Now, if you did this all correctly, these two terms these should come up to be the same, like x plus 2 and x plus 2. If you did not get it right, then you have to go back and rework. Now, if you notice, the two terms x plus 2 and x plus 2 are the same, so we factored that out. So x plus 2, and then you're left with, so imagine this is gone, so you're left with the 5x. So bring that down, plus here the x plus 2 is gone, you're left with 1, and that's it. You understand that part? So what did we do here? You factor out the common, factor out the binomial. All right, so if you didn't understand, go back and watch the video again. and then I'm going to show you the second one for this, all right? So let's do this part. Now here, A is 3, B is 4, and C is negative 15. So use the sign, right? So the number has a sign here, so you need to make sure you consider the sign. So now, we need to find two numbers whose product is 3 times negative 15, which is negative 45. So please make sure you're including the sign. And then the sum has to be 4. So two numbers whose product is negative 45 and sum is 4. And are there numbers like that? Now, if you're finding, you're like, oh my God, this is a big number. I usually go by, 3. So 3 times 15. No, one number has to be negative, which is the smaller number. This doesn't work. Then 45. So let's try 5. Now 5 would be 5 and 9. So negative 5 and 9. So that works. So this is what we are looking for. So the numbers are negative 5 and 9. And now, so next step, what do we do? Take the expression and split that 4. So you get 3x squared, then plus 9x minus 5x minus 15. Now you might notice, okay, can I write the negative 5 first and the 9? Yes, you can. No, you can write it like that, but I try to keep it. So when I see there are common factors possible, I keep the numbers together. Like for example, 3 and 9 has a common factor. So it's not wrong if you write the other way, but you will see that the common factor will change accordingly. Your final answer will end up being the same, all right? You can try it if you want. So I hope you understand that. We started, with the A and C, and now you found the two numbers to be negative 5 and 9. Now group and factor. So I group these two. The common factor for 3x squared and 9x is 3x. That leaves you with x plus 3 minus. So here, notice, please watch your signs. So you have a minus and a minus. Therefore, the common factor would be a negative 5. All right? That will leave you with x plus 3. Okay? So what did I do here? I went back, grouped, and factored. Now, if you notice, the two binomials are x plus 3 and x plus 3. So factor that out. That will leave you, so I factor out the x plus 3. So now this is gone, you're left with 3x minus, if this is gone, you're left with 5. And that is your factored form. I hope this makes sense. Now, so these two are examples of the entire, the way you will solve the rest of the problems. So you can look at the answer key to see how to solve them. Just make sure you're taking the sign into consideration, all right? Everywhere, look at that. This is a minus. So these problems have a plus and a minus, okay? So one of your numbers would be negative. I hope you can try it and verify your answer with the ones on Google Classroom, all right? I'll come back with section 8.7 soon.